Hello, everyone. I'm Leigh Radford, Senior Vice President and General Manager of P&G Ventures. P&G Ventures is an early-stage startup studio within Procter & Gamble that partners with entrepreneurs and inventors to create new brands and businesses in spaces where P&G doesn't play today. For those of you who are joining us during CES, we hope you're enjoying the event so far. I would encourage you to check out the virtual P&G Life Lab exhibit that provides consumers a behind-the-scenes look at how P&G's portfolio of innovations is impacting consumers' homes as well as our planet. I'm now very pleased to introduce my friend and mentor, Amy Errett, CEO and founder of Madison Reed, an omni-channel beauty brand that is challenging industry in the hair color space. Amy's multifaceted career has ranged from founding and operating companies to investing in startups to volunteering in nonprofit leadership roles. In addition to her role with Madison Reed, Amy is also a partner at True Ventures, focusing on investments in consumer and e-commerce startups. Amy, welcome. Delighted to have you join us today, and I'm looking forward to a great conversation where we can dive into the Madison Reed story, your career, and most important, your advice to entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much, Leigh. I'm really thrilled to be here.
Let's start with a topic that you and I talk about all the time, which is brand building, and specifically building a successful direct-to-consumer brand.
Yes. Building a direct-to-consumer brand is not for the faint of heart, as I call it. It is a very challenging yet rewarding thing to do. People always talk about what is a great brand, and I use this description all the time. A good brand is something that you like, you recognize. A great brand is something that makes you feel something. You know it when you see it. You know, it's the wow factor of understanding, and we could go on a list of all the brands that fit into that category. But you know it when you see it, and it is the emotional why that comes through in a great brand. Madison Reed is really tackling this funny category that nobody apparently cared that much about, but except every woman in the world, and it's called hair color. In the US alone, 95 million women color their hair on average every 6 weeks. So whenever anybody asks me if the total addressable market is big enough, I just say, do the math. And that's only in the US. What our brand stands for is a different way to give people back their beauty. It stands for confident is the new beautiful. And so we are all about empowering our clients to take back their beauty with better ingredients, with convenience, with affordability, and the confidence to know that this is in your hands and you got this, and Madison Reed has your back. And so we do that in a lot of different ways to translate that message. What I'll sort of leave you with about all of this is brands are not words. They are not logos. They are not just what you say or what you think people see. Brands are everything. They are the soul of your company. They are how your team members feel about their work every day, which we have a belief that team experience equals customer experience. And they're about how your customers feel about you. It's about what's on your emails and how you conduct yourself, and what does your salutation look like when you send an email, and what's your background drop look like on Zoom, unfortunately, as we're all here today. But it's everything to the T of perfection, because what it really is, it's translating the personality and the soul of the business. What is your intention every day?
When you started Madison Reed, you made a decision to start it as a direct-to-consumer business. Tell me a little bit about why, and how has that been an advantage to you?
Yeah, it's a great question, Leigh, because many people start the opposite way, which is being on someone's shelf, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'll get to that. Hopefully we'll get to that a little bit later today about omnichannel. So a little bit about the hair color industry, because I think the important thing is the context of your business is important to how you decide to enter a market. And the context of our business is that 52% of women in the US color their hair at home. It's a little known fact. Most people listening or watching this will be like, well, I don't know anybody that does that. Well, I can assure you, you do. It's just that. And so the bigger slice of the numbers of people are at home, but the larger dollar amounts are sitting in the salon channel. So just anchor on that. So, we as a challenger brand and a disruptive brand had to go right at direct to consumer feedback. We had to go right at this concept of making sure that our product worked, making sure that we could service people, that we could have the efficacy. And so I tell the story all the time that in the beginning of the business, before we launched, we had 1,000 women in a beta. Now, how 1,000 women trusted us enough for us to give them hair color to test it out is besides the point. We were quite persuasive. We promised that we'd send them to the salon if we screwed anything up. And so, what we did was we went right at the market, and we launched in the summer of 2014. And what was the most important thing was quality. So again, I want people to hear, one does not fake their way through hair color. One does not, it has to work every time. It's got to get to their door every time. It's got to get color matched in a way that is so specific. So for the first 3.5 years of the business, it was just D2C. And it was what I would call testing the product market fit, making sure that we had the quality and the service level that we could deliver every time that box got sent. And then it also proved to us, we moved from 19 shades to now 60 shades, that we had gaps, that we had to look at Net Promoter Score. We had to pay attention to quality. We had to unpack everything to repack it again. And I talk about this sometime with people that, starting these businesses is weaving one's way through complexity to get to some simplicity. And that seems like a bizarre thing to say, but it's all sort of a mess for a while until you start understanding the levers. And once we understood the levers, then it gave us the right to say this was salon quality. And it gave us the right to say we knew how to be in a services business, our hair color bars, that would take on any salon, but we could be affordable, technology enabled, disclosure of ingredients, accessible, and walk-in appointments, all the above. But I, as the founder and the team, was not willing to put that stake in the ground until we knew that it was factually efficacious.
It's interesting. I've been with P&G for close to 30 years, and felt like built a lot of great brands. But at Ventures, we're playing the DTC world, direct-to-consumer world, similar to you. And I'm finding it very interesting how you can build brands in direct-to-consumer. And I see a lot of advantages. Can you share a couple of advantages that you're seeing by building a brand from scratch, leveraging direct-to-consumer?
Absolutely. So the first thing goes back to what I just said, was we have a direct and immediate relationship with the customer. And again, we at Madison Reed can think anything we want about ourselves. And what I try to tell people every day in the company is the only thing that matters is, does her hair look great after she uses our product? It's really quite simple, yet the complexity to get there is hard. And so that direct feedback and all that data, remember, we're asking her 18 questions in a color quiz. We have 15 million hair profiles that we're sitting with. And that color quiz has gotten very smart about the algorithm of color matching. And so, the direct data you have, the cross-sell, the personalization, the mining the data, which many people don't do. They are sitting on piles of data, and it's telling you everything about how the consumer feels, what they want. We have a full-time Slack channel. Like right now, my Slack's going off for all the people that are producing this event. Yes, the notifications are turned off. But the point is that minute by minute, second by second, we have NPS scores coming in. And I can tell, honestly, like it's just now like in my bloodstream and others, I can tell if there's a shipping problem in 2 minutes. I can tell whether the instructions didn't go into the box. And yes, we make mistakes like anyone else, but that direct relationship, the feedback loop, quality, data, those are all advantages. And then not to mention your margin. I mean, it's a completely different business when you get it right by not having to share that margin with somebody else. So that is, that's kind of the highlights. And then I think the other part is the quick testing and iterating, because of that feedback loop is sort of impossible for larger brands to do, right? You hire market research people, no offense, it takes a lot of time. They build studies, that's $1 million, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. And they're probably in some ways much more extensive than our quick hits. But our quick hits give us the ability to understand something quickly and be agile. The last thing I'd say, and there's a liability and an asset to everything that happens in life, and I'll share this one, which is that the marketing of these things is challenging and it's hard. We've cracked a lot of that code, but the other piece that you see in doing your marketing, Leigh, in your D2C brands, is that quick feedback loop.
Yeah.
The loop of, is it working? Is my messaging working? I can change out an Instagram and a Facebook ad in a day, and I can't change TV in a day, right? So there are some advantages to this newfangled world we're in.
Yeah, exactly. You talked about gross margin, and as you balance growth of the business and growth of the brand, especially in the world of just a startup, how are you doing that? How do you balance that pressure for speed of growth versus setting that foundation for a brand?
Yeah. Well, we only have a short period of time, but I could go on for days about this one, because what I tell people, it is pace and sequence. And the best way that I try to mentor people and explain it to them is, in the beginning stage, you are just vetting for a heartbeat. You're just looking for a pulse. You're having to make sure right from the get-go, and I'll share this with people, it is very hard to re-engineer what I'm going to say next. Your product margins have to be super high, because they have to absorb all the inefficiency of your supply chain, all the inefficiency of your shipping, your minimum order quantities, all these things that are a massive disadvantage as you're testing for a heartbeat. But regardless, you must test for the consumer heartbeat.
Yeah.
Then when you get the product market fit right and you move into scaling, that's where gross margin has to be tested, because you have to make sure that all of those points that you gave up from product to delivery, there's efficiency you could squeeze. You have to look at the business model, right? You have to decide whether it's a repetitive subscription model, which is in vogue, but there's a reason, because it's really driving your long-term value to your cost of acquisition, and ultimately the gross margin factors into that. And then the last thing that I would say is, in the beginning, it's product market fit. Then it's getting to a size that you have a business. And then the growth trajectory will become more important while you're proving you could move to profitability. So as I say to people all the time, I want you to fix this image and then decide how crazy we are to do this, right? All of us in this crazy world where I am forever grateful, and I mean this, for the opportunity to go on a ride of your life while you're flying a massive 777, and every single day, you're pumping up, it's in the air, you're pumping up the air in the tires, changing out the engine. Sometimes the oil needs a change. Sometimes, a baggage has fallen out. You're pushing it in, locking it back down, getting back in the plane. And so the way to understand this is, it all happens for a reason. And the thing that I will say about it is, just pay attention. Pay attention to the failures, which are the gifts underneath this, the test that didn't work, the marketing message that was off, the box that was inefficient. Those are all your best guides to your success.
Thank you, Amy. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about your personal and professional journey. So after graduating from business school, you went into venture capital. So what inspired you to take the leap from the venture capital into launching your own business?
So, in between the venture capital and business school, I was an investment banker. And as I say, and there are probably bankers coming to CES, so I'll keep it. I love bankers, and I was a horrible fit. So as I say, it was not good for all those involved. And decided that I had the right to choose my path, which was something that everybody's got different wiring. Mine came from strong women in my family who basically said, go do it. Go do whatever you want to do, which was a gift. So I didn't have to fight some of the internal messages. There are plenty more that I fight every day, but that one wasn't exactly one. I then actually had 3 entrepreneurial experiences and then went into venture capital for 6.5 years and opened Mavron, which is a great consumer-only firm, Bay Area office. They never had a presence there, and it was quite entrepreneurial. Opening an office, a third of the portfolio companies were there. And I was intrigued, Leigh, by 2 things going on. One, I think it is a unbelievably noble profession. It gets a lot of bad raps. When done well, I just want to set up the stage for this. You have the gift of listening to brilliant people. It's an honor to hear their thinking, their passion, their inspiration. And then you have the ability to help them make their dreams come true. Yeah. And so whenever anybody wants to blow shade or, put shade on VCs, what I will say is, there's different venture firms. You go through that path. I'm not going to go down that. But what I am going to tell you is it is a noble profession. It was an honor to be part of it. I am still part of it. And the best part of my day is always hearing those dreams and aspirations and then seeing if we can, capital is capital, help is help. And what I say to people is don't just take capital and help, and take what I call the most important thing, the emotional intelligence and the safety and security that you have to make mistakes, to fail, and to learn, and to have your board or your investors understand the trajectory of the journey and not hold you to things that are irrational moments in time. And if you have good investors, they get it. They see the journey. The last thing I'd say is, 6.5 years into it, the itch, as I call it, the absolute sick affliction of like, no, three times wasn't enough. Let me, talking to my wife and saying, I think I'm going to do this. And, and the comment was, I'll leave the explicit word. It was, are you blank kidding me? Right. Because this never goes the way you think. It never takes it's the ride, right? It's the ride. And I had a longing, literally. I'd be the venture capitalist having the board seat. The CEO would be running the board meeting as they should. And I would be longingly desiring sitting in that messy, awful, sometimes scary seat versus the seat that I was sitting in. So I am an operator by DNA. I am blessed to have both worlds in my life. Because the other thing I'll tell you for entrepreneurs, picking your head up. And the gift is mine. I see the world, and then I could come back to the messy that I'm, what I call sometimes one is not even in the trees. We are in the, little needles on every single pine tree. We are in the needles, and it's nice to see the forest sometimes, quite important.
So seeing all those different businesses, as a role of a VC, you picked hair color. Wow.
Go figure.
Why?
Well, every friend of mine that close VC friends, other entrepreneurs, a network that I had built a career around. I have a string. I have taken screenshots. So I am somebody who loves traditions and has markers in my life and pays attention to those moments. I'm highly competitive in a nice way. and I took screenshots of all of this text that I got. And each one of them was like, or have you lost your mind? What, are you okay? What hair color, Amy, that is a ridiculous idea. What's going on? Are you having a midlife crisis? Like, it just went on, right? I got them all. I also have every no that someone sent me, and every email. So if you're out there and you turned us down, I got them, in a good way. And I often look at them, and I look at the reason why. I always ask people, why? Why do you think that? Because again, that is your best friend, right? People's honest feedback. So why hair color? Because it's massive, because it is a essential. Geez, if COVID didn't prove the essential category, and hair color was one of them, drop the mic. I'm not saying anything else. So all the primarily guys out there who think, oh, women color their hair, I'm like, okay, we'll just move on. Big market, huge. So, I always look at things in 3 categories as an early stage investor. So I'll give you my hints. 1, is the total addressable market global and big enough? Or does it have the ability to create something that can be global, right? Sometimes you're creating something from nothing. In our case, we were reconstructing an industry, right? We were taking an existing industry. So that's 1. So we were like, check. 2, can you do product innovation? Can you change the entire game? And in our case, it was like, I went down the aisle of Walgreens and I was like, this can't be. 52% of women are tolerating this while they deserve better. Herbal ingredients, highly toxic. The instructions tell you when they start, Leigh, open a window before you start. And I was like, wow, I think we could do a little better than that. No technology, no advice about shade selection, 8 shades, and a horrific set of componentry, none of it recyclable. And I'm like, okay, this is not for the modern woman. $8, controlled by somebody else's shelf. And then the other side, $200 in the salon, 3 hours. You never know your formula. You don't know what they're putting on your hair. And no technology, hard to book, shackled to that one terrific person. And so don't get me wrong, we love colorists. They are the core of our business. But having said that, I was like, product innovation, well, geez, we could make it cleaner. We could put technology around an algorithm. We could deliver it to your door. We could create the first prestige. That's what we are. We are a prestige hair color company. And we could do both things on both sides and just drive a big airplane through the middle of a market. And what I also did, honestly, was we stood in 53 women's bathrooms and had them apply hair color, and we videotaped it in the beginning. And what I saw was the clear, what I call terror in one's eyes, fear, confusion, and longing for the outcome, yet feeling tortured during the process, as I call it. And something was like, oh, that doesn't feel beautiful, right? There was this thing that was happening. So, and then the third component is team. It always comes down to people. And I knew my desire. I knew the people that I co-founded with. I knew the hunger. I had the ability. It was good fortune to put people around, like get some of my band back together from, they were crazy enough to say yes again. So we had all the elements, and I went to Italy and I figured out, like, out of nowhere how to make hair color, because we had some great scientists with us that knew. We found a contract manufacturer who was crazy enough to say yes. We're very close friends now. And he told me a story last summer. He said, I don't know why I said yes. I'm really happy I said yes. But you scared I actually, in retrospect, when I said you must pay 100% upfront and in euro, he said, you said yes to that. And then that really scared me. The history books will be interesting on this one. It was big. It had no innovation. And I knew I could put the team together.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about team. I've heard you speak about the importance of finding your inner genius. So what does this mean to you, and why is it important in aspiring entrepreneurs to find their inner genius?
because it is the North Star of your life, right? Like sometimes, all the time. And the good news is the windy road of what is that thing that is effortless, as I call it, and in the flow. What's that thing that is effortless and in the flow? All of us know underneath what it is. The problem becomes that we get wired to believe we're supposed to be awesome at everything. So we are wired, whether it's in school, education system, our jobs initially, you must be great at everything. That's what the world tells us. And one's ego is a very interesting thing if you study it, right? Because it is a wonderful thing for you to have, but it is a unbelievably dangerous thing when the reality check of who am I and what am I great at. So let me give you an example, right? Like I suspect I could use the word suck. If not, okay. But I suck at a lot of things, right? I'm not good at process. I hate org charts. The OKR process on a quarterly basis makes me want to just jump up and, lay in the fetal position. It's like, please, no. And so I wouldn't be a good CFO, right? Like there's so many things that I've learned. And during the process, like investment banking, they told me like I had to be great at all that. And I thought, well, this is not true. And so the inner genius is, what is that thing? And for me, that thing is crazy ideas, a unbelievable will to figure it out, like almost a crazy puzzle mind that likes hard problems. The harder they are, the juicier I like them. It's strange because I like the figuring it out. And I like the team building and the cultural brand building, the soul of building something that is iconic. That is what consumer based, and that is what I'm wired to do. And it took me a lot of shots on goal, as I call it, to figure that out, to say no to things, to fail at things. I talk to people all the time. So this is great for entrepreneurs because you're great at something or you wouldn't have gotten here. But whatever that is, triple down on it and forget about the other stuff and put people better than you around you. And lose that super ego that keeps telling you on your shoulder every day, no, I have to be. No. What you have to be is the best steward for the company. Your fiduciary responsibility is to win. And winning means a team of people and many of them better than you and knowing your place. And then you'll be on the ride. And so at the ride now, I am doing different things than I did in the beginning. And then I did in the middle, then I did in the sort of middle, then I did at the scaling, and now at the much bigger, and I have to do a check every day.
Yeah.
Right? So the things I used to do, which is being in the nits and figuring out the puzzle, I got fantastic people who are like, hey, lady, I got it. And my response to that is, awesome. I can go do the other parts of what I'm in the flow of, right? So that redefining that genius, keeping it in check. And then there's a handful of other crazy things that I believe in. Meditation. I have a busy mind. It has not served me well my whole life. There's parts that have served me, but it is a wacky set of things going on in there. And meditation has been the key to my grounding. Finding out what are those things that allow you to be grounded. For me, it's exercise, it's meditation, it's being in with my family, and it's rituals that keep me grounded in something because this ride is all over the place.
Thank you for sharing that.
And it's friendships like the one I have with you.
Yeah, right back at you.
It's people.
Yeah. So I want to talk about female entrepreneurship. All of us are grateful for you leading the way for many, many women. And, we all know the less access to capital, even less access to mentorship. And I know you go beyond your call of duty to reach out. What has been your personal experience as a female entrepreneur, and what advice do you give to other women looking to start their own business?
Yeah. So this is a topic near and dear to my heart. Many women helped me. So the first place I'll start is locking oneself in on the concept in life, not just adventureship, that basically paying it forward is what life is about.
Yeah.
Finding that kindness in yourself to pay it forward, because when you do, people pay it forward for you, right? So the first thing is that I had massive numbers of mentors, ones that I am, that are much older than me, that I'm still in contact with, who now, tweet me and they're like, oh my God, I hear your voice on the radio. I'm using your hair color. I remember when you were, you were just a blah, 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 and you were a pain in my ass and, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, my point is that there's so many women, and by the way, men, that helped my career. So I need to share with you that I do not approach this as a bias in gender. I approach this as a journey of education.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I do not believe, and I want to say this, that I think men, choose to be misogynist. I do not believe that they choose to make career decisions against women. I don't believe any of that, because I've been the good fortune. But what I do believe is that there are some systems that have been set up, having kids, getting out of the workforce. Like, there are things that we deal with that are very different based on our gender. The way we'll approach things is very different. So the first thing that I try to tell women all the time is get that story out of your head.
Yeah.
Because if that story drives you that I'm never going to get to raise money, that men just won't believe in me, that it's all blah, blah, that will be the story. I can assure you. Right. And so I used to coach women coming into the Mavron, pitches. And I would say, don't do this, and don't do this. Right. And so the point of the matter is that we are solely individually in our lives responsible for our own destiny.
Yeah.
And once you lock yourself into, you are fantastic, you are gifted, you are great. If you believe in your story and you believe in your business, people are going to fund you. And then the last piece that I will share this is for any women that are VCs, any women that have the power to write checks, write them. Because the other way that the system will work, is when the Stitch Fixes in Katrina have public outcomes. Well, while Julie, has an outcome at the Real Rio, and just go down the list of the women that are out there that are saying, guess what? Our companies are rocking. And that's how, why the system changes? Because green, by the way, is a universal number. Yeah, color. It's a universal color. It speaks to everybody. And so when great outcomes happen, when people realize the data says that women that run companies have better, employee team satisfaction, have great outcomes because of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, because of understanding that this is kind of what I'll close on. Human beings do not come to work, I don't care what gender they are, because it's the skill of everything they do every day, because it's the little nits of their job. They come to work every day because they want to believe in purpose. They come to work every day because they want to be seen for who they are and their contributions. They want to believe that I showed up today and I had an impact and I was part of something that was bigger than me, right? And so understanding that collective way of whatever that culture is that you build, there is something about how women think about that is just slightly different. There are great men entrepreneurs. They are everywhere. So this is not to say that. What it is to say that 83% of the women, people at Madison Reed are women, 83%. And so the issue is that you have to build, in my opinion, a place of the heart. And when you build a place of the heart, so women keep at it. Lots of people have my email address. I may not be able to make the time to get on the phone for a half an hour, but I've come to a system that I do, which is if you email me a set of questions, I will at length answer them. And it is a better way because I just can find that time slot, right? But I'll be there.
Thank you. You know, I want to leave it there. That there is no better advice than what you just gave. And, we talked earlier, I am just so grateful for having you as a mentor and a friend in my life. And I'm a better person having known you. And PG Ventures is a better person, a better organization having you as an advisor. So thank you very much. It has truly been a delight. Before we, roll things up, any final parting advice that you would give that we didn't cover today that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So first of all, Leigh, I have to answer back to that the feeling is completely mutual, and your friendship and your mentoring, because it's mutual, matter to me. And I have learned a lot, including the fact that the company that you've been out for, I don't know, you said a long time. You must have started at 10 or something like that.
It was.
Yeah, exactly. Bingo. We have that code between each other. That it's a beautiful company, by the way. And I've learned that through the journey. So big companies aren't all awful. That is a company that has soul. And I've seen that, and that makes me feel good in the world. But the last thing that I'll leave you, and I talk about this at work all the time, and they think there's that wacky lady again. The amount of gratitude that we have in our life equals the amount of happiness. And this is a hard time in the world. Managing remotely is difficult. It's real. There is a ray of sunshine. We're going to come out the other side of this. And there are beautiful silver linings everywhere. And so the thing that I would say to you is that people, even in their companies, it sounds crazy, we meditate. Like, if you can get to this place where you understand that you're turning on the lights of people to be grounded in who they are and be grateful, that's when the magic starts in the world.
I totally agree. Amy, deep pleasure. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your thoughts and wisdom. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.